Hey, what's up? I'm Zach. This is another weekly video devotion. This week, I'm going to focus on John the Baptist in John chapter 3. Now, John the Baptist was born for a very specific purpose, and that was to prepare God's people for the coming of the Messiah. And he did that through talking about salvation and being cleansed, and he did that through water baptism. And Jesus' ministry and John's ministry actually overlap some. And that's where we find this little piece of scripture. Jesus is on one side of the river baptizing people, and John is on the other side of the river baptizing people. The only problem is it seems that people are leaving John's side to go be baptized by Jesus, and John's disciples are getting really upset about it because they're afraid that John, he's losing his popularity and stuff. But John recognizes what's going on, and he actually he makes sure that his disciples recognize what's happening. And he says, and he replies to their worries with this: "A person can receive only what is given to them from heaven. You yourselves can testify that I have said, I am not the Messiah, but I'm sent ahead of him. The bride belongs to the bridegroom. The friend who attends the bridegroom waits and listens for him, and is full of joy when he hears the bridegroom's voice. That joy is mine, and it is now complete. He must become greater. I must become less." I like that last line. He must become greater. I must become less. And that really represents everything I want to talk about in this thing. But first, let's look at this little portion of scripture. John compares his relationship with Jesus' ministry in terms of marriage. In particular, that he is a friend to a bridegroom, and a friend of a bridegroom isn't jealous, but he's happy whenever he finds his wife. And in the same way, John is saying that he is joyful that Jesus has come as the Messiah to save his people. And John can do this because he recognizes that that's what his entire ministry has been about. And John demonstrates that he understood his relationship to Jesus in the proper way. He had the proper motivation, and he recognized why he was preaching. He knew the end goal of what his ministry was supposed to be about. He had a humbleness in God that allowed himself to become less, and in that lessening of himself, he was actually doing the work of God. And as I was reading about this, and I was thinking about basically that little phrase, he must become greater, I must become less, I had three questions that kept popping in my head. And I just want to share those with y'all as a way to examine ourselves whenever we're doing things for ministry. And the first question is, why do I do what I do? And this has to do with your motivation. Being a Christian isn't about bringing honor and glory for yourself. It's not about making a name for yourself. It's not about being famous or getting money or getting rich. Sometimes people get attention for being good Christians, and that's fine. But don't go out of your way to try to make a name for yourself, thinking that being a Christian is going to be popular or something that you can exploit to gain popularity or money. That's not right. So, what's your motivation? The second question is, what are my actions saying? What you do and how you live displays what you believe to the world. Are our actions displaying ourselves, or are they displaying Jesus? Are they bringing glory and honor to us? Or are they glorifying God? It's real easy in this world to realize that lots of eyes are on you all the time. And so when we do things, that's usually always in the back of our head sometimes. And it's really difficult to realize, yeah, people are watching me, but I'm not doing this for attention. I'm not doing this for a pat on the back. God sees everything we do, the good and the bad, and he will give you honor when the time is right for doing the right thing. Don't look for honor in man. Don't look for honor in doing things from other people. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and just trust that God sees it. And the third question is, are we willing to be ignored? Are we willing to let our actions go unnoticed? Are we willing to not care about if we're seen or not? and all these questions are tied together. They all involve motivation. They all involve how we live. And this one in particular is really important. Is, are we willing to do something nice and not expect anything in return from anyone? Are we willing to do something for the church, or for somebody, for someone on the street, for someone in need? Are we willing to do that and not care about if anyone ever knows about it? And just think about these questions. Use them to evaluate your life and evaluate what you do, especially if you're in ministry. Christians, all Christians, you need to have these questions. You need to evaluate your motivation, but particularly if you're in full-time ministry, or if you're a volunteer minister or something like that, you need to constantly evaluate your motivation and why you're doing what you're doing. So think about these questions. And let's work towards having an attitude that says he must become greater and I must become less. I want to do that. I want to get to a place in my life where I can say, less of me, Lord, more of you. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, contact me. Let me know. Ask me. Like and subscribe this video and follow me on YouTube. And thanks. See ya and bye.